The Pod Barber. Coming up on today's show.
Before you even get to nutrition, something that, again, we've been able to talk about is sleep, stress, circadian regulation, and how important, even mindfulness is, and just working on your NEAT as well. Relationships in the community. They all play a part in how your body's going to be able to absorb food. Whether you're in a stress state and you were to eat really good quality food, is your body going to be able to assimilate that food, as well as you being relaxed and taking 5 or 10 minutes to mindfully breathe. And it's going to be the difference between how your body consumes and how you feel after a good meal.
You're listening to The Pod Barber. I'm taking conversations from my barber's chair deeper, further, and I'm champion in the chat. Men's health and well-being takes centre stage. With help from my guests sharing knowledge and experience, stories from their quests, we tackle the taboos. We're all learning together. It's emotional. We're just dudes. So feel the positive vibes we're sending out to you. It's simple. Join my tribe. Subscribe to The Pod Barber. You, my friends, are not alone. Who's next, please? Well, I'll tell you who. We got Samuel Lee Parke, resident CrossFit coach from one of the smartest setups in Saffron Walden, Bear Walden Fitness. He brings his stoic attitude from his army past. With all of the years and years of training and lived experience, Sam has capitalised on his understanding of fitness and nutrition to offer his expertise and passion through CrossFit and Olympic lifting. Sam and his team provide innovative, adaptive, well-created fitness programs catering to the super small little dudes right through to our older dudes in society. You'll get the experience to train alongside men and women of all ages and abilities, and the best thing is, the person finishing last gets the most applause. Today, Sam will demystify the stigma surrounding CrossFit and also address his beliefs around how society can battle mental health well-being. As so many of my serving or veteran friends would reflect that they have an insight that we civilians simply don't, nor do we wish to. But shared knowledge and understanding is the bedrock to better help and understand and give confidence to the conversation that brings us closer together. We are in very good company here in the pod today. It's my absolute pleasure to bring you the intimate side of Coach Sam. Welcome to the Pod Barber. Hi, Sam.
Hey, Mick. Thanks for having me.
Quite all right. Good to have you in here, pal. Sam, I did tease you, the fact that I'd wrote you a little poem. It's my artistic attempt at being somewhat more talented than I am. So here goes, pal. Here's your noodle, or little poem.
Thank you.
Muscle up, muscle down. We got the best coach in town. He's an ex-army hero, all stoic and strong. Close by your side is where he should belong. You and your coaches plan the wad of the day. Please leave the assault bikes well out the way. Burpees, assault bikes, and concept twos. Which of those instruments most destroys you? Saffron Walden's in much better shape now. You brought CrossFit to this little place because it's the cleans that get dirty and super sweaty. When you get repping, Sam, it's proper heavy. Believe in yourself and the ability of others. I'm just made up that you're one of my brothers. Swing those kettlebells and put on your weight vest, 'cause Coach Sam's in town to share his progress.
Mate, the fist bump, that was very good, mate.
Well, you're an inspiring chap, so I like to write a little something for you. And all the guests on the podcast get a little noodle. I think it sort of helps the fact that I've been thinking about you, and I enjoy to pen those thoughts. It's inspired by the person that's coming to sit down, so it's...
Wow, honoured.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
First of all, man, how have you been coping, son?
Good. I'm lucky. I've got a supportive family, wife, children. On the job side of things, we've got a very small but strong community of members in the gym. We're just like glue, man. It's get by together, support one another. We've all had our little ups and downs along the way, but that's what communities are about, is picking each other up when tough times come along. Yeah, learn from it, speak about it, don't be shy. So that sounds like you're doing all right, man, and it doesn't surprise me. You would have picked up on the fact that the guy's got a stoic attitude towards life, and that's proven to be something that's really useful to him. So I want to get into, that part of demystifying sort of CrossFit, because so many people just don't know about it. So can you tell us a little bit more about CrossFit? Yeah, so CrossFit started in America over 10 years ago. The main program in itself is written by a guy called David. Castro. He's a little bit of an evil character, but he's an ex-Navy SEALs guy, so a lot of respect for that guy. Although he has no say in what the programming goes on within our gym. CrossFit, in essence, is essentially Olympic lifting, weightlifting, combined with sort of metabolic conditioning. So anything to do with running, rowing, swimming, whatever you can get your hands on or get the heart rate up conditioning-wise, and throw in some gymnastics. That's pretty much it there.
So I think to sort of sum it up, the idea of CrossFit, if I was to pick sort of like a couple of words, it's functional fitness, because you mentioned the go and grab a bike, go for a run, go rowing, go hill climbing, pick something up, pick someone up, go running around with them. It's functional fitness. There's no sort of limitations either, is there, Sam? Like the sense around CrossFit, I think, for a lot of people is, oh, you lot are mad. You're going to break yourself. It's going to injure you. It's going to, naturally, within any type of sport, if you're coached in the wrong way or you've got the wrong attitude or you're trying to push yourself further than your current ability, that's going to be the case. But yeah, with the CrossFit and the right coaching, it can be amazing. How do the guys that are coming into your gym, what's the feedback you're getting from them? What are you helping them with?
You nailed it on the head there a second ago. There's a perception around CrossFit that, it can be dangerous. They see people lifting heavy weights. But again, it's no different than, if you were to Google Olympic lifting or Olympic sports, you're going to see the high-end athletes, like anything, the footballers, boxing, rugby, anything can be dangerous, do you know what I mean? But at our level, for the general population is what we call it, they're in good hands. They're coached by coaches within a small group setting. Even before they get to that point, they have to go through a one-to-one foundation. So we teach all the Olympic lifts. We go through all the gymnastics. We take them on a bit of a journey to begin with just to see where they're at. And it's that point where we really focus on educating them, get to know them a little bit deeper, help them with any little pre-existing injuries that they may have, or even preconceptions of, our industry in the sport of fitness. Our job as a coach is just to help them get from A to B and use the right tools that we've got to hand and we've learnt within our experience to help them get there. You know what I mean? So everyone comes in at a different starting point. Some, it might be their first time ever training. Some people might have come from, Lord Butler up the road in a body pump class. Some people might have come from, your regular Just Gym up the road because they've sort of grew up out of that commercial gym experience. But yeah, we're just there to help them where they are, where they come to us, and we'll take them up a new path.
So I feel like a big point there that I picked up on was the foundation within the training. So I suppose the first stage of anything, working out what you want to do, how you're going to program for somebody individually or in a group setting, is to sort of take them away from that environment and to give them that foundation platform training to teach them over a period of time the basics to keep them safe within the environment. Naturally, going into a gym or commercial gym like you've mentioned, you're there. You may well have a bit of PT, you may well have some guided assistance following an app or whatever, and I'm not saying to disuse those things, but within your gym, these guys are having to, hit 6, 8 sort of independent sessions. It's not a monetary thing. Naturally, everything has a cost, but this is more about making sure that they're safe, making sure that they're going to go onto the floor in a fashion that's good for them and good for the other people using the facility.
100%. I mean, for us, it's all about a sustainable journey right from the offset. That is going to be always a question for some, the cost, and it does come at a cost compared to your commercial gym, but you get so much more. I think you've got to look beyond that. What do you get from a commercial gym? And that's some of the questions that we often ask is, at your commercial gym, did you get a program that was periodized throughout the year, that was thought about, backed by science, backed by experienced coaches? All of our coaches are all Olympic level 2 qualified. They're all CrossFit level 2 qualified and gymnastic qualified. So they come from, a good thoroughbred of coaching. They've been under my wing, who I've been lucky enough and fortunate enough to be mentored by some of the best coaches in the UK and America. I'm very lucky to have had that experience with strength and conditioning coaches, physios. Yeah, I mean, these guys have got that experience that's been passed down by them to me and then me to them. They're in good hands.
I love the fact that you're picking up on the pay it forward sort of element of that. where you have peers within your gym particularly. I can't speak for every single CrossFit gym, but you identify with the nuance of fitness programming. You remember sort of some of the past ways, but you look to the leaders of it, to the innovators of it, and you go and pay for the training yourself. You're investing your money back into you and your coaches. You're not just making this stuff up. It's not just picking a wad, writing it down. There's a real science to it, and it's deliberately manifests itself in, I think it's 3 months, isn't it? Programs, phases, cycles. So there's a great deal of information that's going into that. A constantly moving program, and bearing in mind, you have to basically sit there on the dance floor, as it were, with young people, men, women, all different heights, sizes, ranges of physical ability when they're at there, and different attitudes towards what they want to get out of it. But you are able to identify and be able to, in a mass coaching scenario, be able to give something to each and every one of them.
Yeah, so again, that all come down to a lot of experience within group class sort of model experience. I mean, luckily, you know, my past background, military, I was used to coaching probably best part of over 50 people. So, you know, I whittle that down to 12, you know, sometimes less in a class, you know, maximum of say 15 in a group class setting. It's quite easy to manage. Again, that knowledge is also passed on to the coaching team, how to best manage small groups and how we can sort of manage and pair them off if need be. You've experienced that within the class. But going back onto programming, right from the offset, you know, once we go through the foundation, something that we pick up now, and this has been changed over the years, something that we've learned, developed, redeveloped. We're probably on like version 6 now. And again, like anything good in life, it's just got to be retweaked as we sort of learn, gain more experiences. So that's why we made the decision, to go down the one-to-one route with the foundation, because it gives us that 6 to 8 sessions, which is really valuable to know that client. What are their goals? What are their limitations? Is snatching 100 kilograms overhead really that important to you? Or is getting your first pull-up more important? Or do you just want general strength and conditioning? Do you just want to lose a few pounds? You know, that's the key information right there that is really valuable to us, because we know that it's going to be valuable to them. So within a group setting, we know, say we get our Dawn, we have a Mick, you know, we have our, you know, a few members, different ages, different training experiences. We know where we need to tweak that within the cycle, within the workout of the day, for example. You know, we know a certain member doesn't need to be lifting 75+% of their 1RM. They just need to squat, for example, with good form, good technique, and just load the body a little bit. Versus someone that's a little bit more, you know, they want to do more performance, or they want to compete at the CrossFit Open, then they can follow the program a little bit more rigidly.
So a bit more intuitive to what their goals are. And obviously you're working alongside these people. There's a constant sort of conversation happening both inside the gym and outside the gym. I think the sense of sort of community that I'm getting is that everyone sort of pulls together a little bit. I naturally ask you how you've been coping throughout this period, but how have you adapted Bear Walden CrossFit and its offering throughout these lockdowns?
From the offset, I think we've seen it come in. I think, again, I don't know if that's just like that military intuition. You just sort of know it's going to come quicker than what they say it's coming. So it's just sort of devise a plan, something to get us going, so we can be like, you know, at least a few weeks ahead of ourselves. So it gives us a bit of breathing space. We filmed a load of workouts before. So we had nearly 4 weeks worth of content ready to pump out. We had an action plan on, you know, issuing the kit out to every member that was going to stick with us and go through it all. So I'd had experience through Zoom already and other apps, which was good. Again, that's just through past mentorship. So I've learned a lot through that as well along the way, which was really helpful. Again, just really, really good. The team, the coaching, they made it really easy as well for me. Like, I come up with a plan, they executed it, we all executed it. And as we went through it together, we got better communicating with the members, just getting feedback here and there along the way. We tweaked things, you know, if they wanted certain times that weren't available on the calendar that we put out, we changed it, because we had a timetable that everyone knows and they were used to pre-lockdown. But obviously, as lockdown came in, everyone's routine kind of went pot a little bit. Whereas my routine hadn't really changed, because it's just gone to online now. But it meant that I was still doing my classes or my PT, but it was just all via Zoom now. So yeah, my routine, the team's routine had to change completely around the members, which is cool. That's what we're here for. We're coaches. Our mission is still to get you from A to B along that journey, no matter how bumpy or rough it's going to be. But as things started easing off and we were allowed to do more, we offered more. So, from the very first chance we were able to, we were outside, we were offering runs, we were offering bike rides, something that we were going out. I was doing recce's the day before just to make sure I had a good route, even though one of them was a little bit muddy and we all got a little bit stuck here along the way. Again, that's a few fun stories, some good memories along the way as well. I think, we adapted, we overcome. I'm very grateful for having the experience within, military as well. So always adapt, always overcome.
Strong.
Get the job done.
So for any people out there listening who've seen this WOD turn up on any sort of post, or they're typing in and they're trying to independently sort of access kettlebell workouts or, sort of multi sort of platform workouts under the banner of CrossFit, the WOD means the workout of the day. Sam said it there. And that's pretty much what, in a normal scenario, that we're going into the gym for. We're following the WOD of the day, and Sam's gym is going to be, whatever he's written up with the access to his coaches and following his program. It's the bit where we talk about injuries and potential problems is where you try to tackle some of this stuff on your own, because it's very complicated movements, but they can seem so simple once you've strategically regressed them and progressed them. And that's what you learn under the banner of proper tuition. I think it's very important to mention that, because that's going to help to demystify this myth around CrossFit. If there's not loads of people trying to do these things and decide that they're their own coach and PT or offer this without the proper training, we're going to reduce the people sitting there in A&E on a Sunday morning. Would you agree with that statement, Sam?
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, it's one of the main things that we wanted to change for me around Saffron Walden, not only Saffron Walden, but, giving CrossFit, trying to give CrossFit a good name. And we wanted to be known as a very good facility, which we've had hundreds of people now come to the gym from all over the world now, which is, again, we've been really lucky. And they always give us absolutely quality feedback. I couldn't be more proud, to be honest. And it's one of the best coached gyms that we've, they say that they've experienced. They love the programming.
I totally agree. I think, I've been a member. I almost consider myself senior member now. I've been in and around there, and I love the rest of the team. I love all the guys that go in there. Such a collaboration of people. And when you've hosted different competitions or other gyms have been unable to use their facility, Sam's been kind enough to have these people come in and help and assist, and you can see the difference. So I suppose there's another sort of element of CrossFit. It's good CrossFit. You can observe the benefits from it, and you can observe that through his members and through a lot of the social media posts. So it's probably a good time to say, if you're starting to think, what is all this about? If you probably just follow the Bear. So Bear Walden Crossfit is a great place. It's a great place to have a little look and see what's going on. Obviously, you talked about the pandemic, how you reacted, you pulled on your past. You've talked about that, the learning from others, which has installed so many little tactical awareness to being able to adapt. When you looked at your clients and the membership, how do you think CrossFit's aided their coping strategy for their mental health well-being throughout this period? Exercise is clearly something that we all recognise, but it's not necessarily the strongest conversation in the sense of building an immune system. What are your thoughts with how your members have used CrossFit and all of what we're talking about to cope through this pandemic?
Again, I think one thing the lockdown has enabled us to do as coaches is just sort of look through a different lens and get to know the community actually on a deeper level, because, now we're not a physical place anymore. So we want to leave that personal touch still. We want to try and gain that. So I think we were one of probably the first ones I've seen on social media anyway, sort of offer the one-to-ones. And that was inclusive of their membership because they've supported us. So we wanted to try and, again, give them as much as we could to support the cost and to keep as many members active as we could. But yeah, we offered the one-to-one, which I felt was probably one of the best things we could have done as well, I think, in terms of just getting to know our members more and able to help them way more than probably what we would have been able to do on a physical level. We were able to speak to each individual for half an hour every 2 weeks. We do that, and we've done that now for the last couple of months. And it's been great. So it's been helping them with their personal battles, nutritional battles, just keeping them slightly motivated, trying to be a little bit more disciplined in certain ways here or there.
So you've basically been able to, through the usual physical activities, your adaptation, the first thing that you've sort of picked up on is connecting through your emotional side of things and through the members' emotional needs and wants. So you've been able to dial in to, their home lives. We've all been stuck at home, haven't we? So you've had a window into that, and that sort of one-to-one. It's a great opportunity, isn't it, to have that a bit more in-depth conversation, to build up a better knowledge, a better relationship, and then you can call on some of the Bear Walden tribe to sort of keep an eye out if you see a problem coming. If someone's struggling a little bit, there's a call out, isn't there? There's a real sense of community in this place.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, exercise is definitely part of it all. It's definitely one of my outlets to keep my mind sharp, disciplined. It's just energy, isn't it? It just feeds you. You don't have to absolutely annihilate yourself. It's just generally getting the blood moving, which is what we want for the members. The other side of it is, you do lose that physical community aspect. So it's, we're trying to plug in and feel, listen, connect, and just give them an offer of just being able to listen, because that is another part of why they come, is to come, communicate. It's a little outlet for them. They can relax. They don't have to be dad or, mum or, whatever it is they're labelled as such. They can just become, Mick at the gym, exercising, throwing down with his, male and female friends that he's made at the gym, and just completely relax. And that's what we want people to feel that.
I've just thought of a terminology for it. Power hour.
Yeah.
Go and get your power hour. Bit of self-loving.
Yeah.
Look after yourself. The benefits are not just from the physical, but clearly the emotional side of things. I, for one, know that throughout the lockdowns, I was able to sort of map out some areas of my personal development, but I've always been fit, or not necessarily at a peak level, but I've always found fitness to be something that I carry for me every single week. I can't deal with life without having that. That's my stress container, shall we say. All my stresses go in, exercise, I open the tap and I release it out. So there's one of my things. Naturally, you can talk about food, nutrition, which I'm sure we will, but there are other things like the sense of community and being stimulated by a different conversation, having to get to know different people from a different walk of life. And that's, I think, what is embodied within CrossFit. You've mentioned the fact that people have been from all over the world to your CrossFit box. The word CrossFit gives a facility to link to everyone. It feels like you're going into your front room. And I love the fact that people have come in and trained. I'd be the first one to give them a high five, obviously hand sanitized. But without that sort of banner, how do you sort of openly walk into these facilities? So it's a really good, wider tribe, but we can dial one-to-one, as Sam's been doing this whole lockdown. It's been amazing. Sam, obviously we've talked about Bear Walden, what you're offering there. We've talked about CrossFit. What about what's the army side of your background and some of the skill set and the experience that's got you to here? Tell us a little bit more about the back catalogue. Let's get to know a bit more about Sam. Coach Sam.
So my old man was military for 24 years in my bloodline, essentially. I always, looked up to my dad, and I suppose that naturally led me to go into the army as well. I ended up joining up Royal Engineers. Ended up going bomb disposal, which was obviously just down the road from here. Yeah, and I've been there. I was there for probably the best part of 13 and a half years, give or take a little break here or there where I went up to Ripon to do a course, and obviously a few tours of Iraq and Kenya and stuff like that. But
so there's a 13. Unlucky for some, that number, but clearly not for you, because you found yourself to Saffron Walden and used those skills learnt in those years to sort of create this experience. Obviously, you mentioned Iraq there. I'm not asking for any war stories, Sam. I know people don't like to talk about those things, but naturally, some of the things that you go through as a young soldier, you have these idols, like you've mentioned your father there. I think that's relatable. A lot of people look up to their dad. It seems the army can have that hereditary kind of movement, can't it, through families. There's a lot of connection through that. You've then gone out as an 18-year-old. You've got this hero in front of you. You've got the boots. You've got the camo. How did you find getting equipped with the reality of it? How do you cope with that?
Well, I mean, it's certainly real. Yeah, it's quite hard to talk about, man, because there's a lot of bad and good memories. I just don't think you ever experience anything like it. Going from what are probably the better days, you'll ask any military guy or girl, you go through basic training, it's hard, but it's fun as well. I mean, you meet some good guys along the way. Predominantly through training for me, it was all men. So we didn't go through training with any females. So my experience was all lads, which, you can imagine that's an experience on its own anyway. But yeah, once you've gone through training, you go through all the drills, everything that you train for, to boots on the ground out there. It's just a completely different game. Do you know what I mean? I was a young lad. I took over from a Marine, and I was basically doing close protection work for some big officers, as part of J9 reconstruction, which was just after one of the big wars in Iraq. Yeah, where unfortunately we'd lost a few of our lads from the Carver Barracks, good lads. So yeah, it was still a little bit heated, and there was a lot of heated situations. Luckier than a cat. I've been very lucky, but also very humbled to what my eyes sort of seen and experienced over there. I came back, they were different, to say the least. It's just a different experience.
Life lessons.
Yeah.
It is a difficult area, but it's the making of you as well. The most stressful situations that you can find yourself in. And until you're involved with what it could be, it doesn't have to be in the army, it could just be a terrorist attack, it could be, a natural disaster, but to be under those sort of stresses, it sort of gives you an experience that you sort of think with oversight, oh, no one needs to see that, no one should go through that, but there are people going through it, there are people that have got to deal with that, and it's, although difficult to talk about, it's important to talk about it. It's important to, remember that, we're walking around in this world, and there's people that have been affected by this kind of shit. I suppose we need to really think about how we talk about this and how we try and better understand through perhaps being a bit kinder, but through finding different ways to use that knowledge, like what you've done, Sam, with CrossFit. I think it gives you a real sense of purpose, and you've used that sort of camaraderie that I perhaps pick up on from the army days, although be it largely masculine. You're probably one of the best spoken human beings I know with women. We've got so many really great girls in the gym. How do you find working in that environment, bearing in mind your major experience was with men?
I don't know. You'll have to ask them. Get one of the Bear Walden ladies on and ask them for their real opinion. I don't really know, to be honest, mate. I suppose for me, you've known me for quite a while now. When it comes to job, it's a job. No matter who you are, where you're from, it's I treat everything black and white pretty much. It's no matter whether you're a female or male, you're going to get the same coaching experience. It's essentially the same workout. It's just going to be tweaked for you as an individual slightly.
Old Piers Morgan sort of put it about sort of sexuality and sort of people's sort of identity, and he said, classified it as penguins. So, for instance, you basically see a bunch of penguins flapping around, and you're trying to just give them all the same coaching to make sure that they can swim after the fish.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, man.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. I see, work is work, and a job's got to be done, and that's my job. Just, go do.
So I was trying to pull that out of you because I like that quality about you. You don't have judgment. And I think that's key. You don't look at someone who's female or young or old or male or injured or disability. No. You view them for what they are right in front of you as they present themselves, and you give them what they're there for, to receive a bit of Coach Sam and his wisdom and his training. So
that's it. It's you see what the word coaching means, and where it comes from. It's literally just to get a human from A to B. You know what I mean? No matter what age, what shape they come in at. Ultimately, I want to share my knowledge, my passion, and I just want to be able to share that with as many people that are willing to listen or come along and try.
With the fact that you've obviously come from the army, I remember you working in the Lord Butler. I remember walking past the upper window and sort of having my head turned, because I was like, wow, there's a load of really, sorry to use the term, but yummy mummies. Getting drilled by this army dude, and it was quite an impressive sight. You had like 30, 40 women, and it was very much that sort of boot camp style kind of thing, but that was really your sort of first step in. So I wasn't at the start with Bear Walden, but was it largely women that sort of joined up, had the more confidence to sort of come through the door, or was it kind of a even balance?
we were luckily enough to get approached by Lord Butler at the time, which was very kind of them. They actually came to Carver Barracks and asked if someone from the military, one of the PTs, could run a class there. And I got asked to do it, and I was like, yep, 100%, I'll go do it. I turned up. For the first few, they wanted me to turn up in like uniform, which was a little bit strange, you know what I mean? Because it's like one of the things is like army lads and that, girls, they don't really like to do. It's like one of the things, as soon as you finish work, get out your kit. You feel like a little bit of a, walking around in your kit, do you know what I mean? So it's played the part, turned up as Sam, from Carver Barracks, and just at the time I thought I was giving everyone a steady workout, but it was a little bit harder than they thought it was going to be. But I soon sort of acclimatised to the clients in front of me or the members in front of me and adapted things to suit a little bit more. Yeah, but predominantly I'd say it was probably 98% females, wasn't it?
It's weird, isn't it?
We had a couple of guys, some of them stuck around, but not many. And that was in the evening as well. So, yeah, it was, don't know where the guys were.
Yeah, what happened to the men?
What's happening with Saffron Walden guys? It's they don't like a bit of hard work.
Slightly afraid.
Who knows?
I think maybe there is an element of that, isn't there? Because we've got this stigma that surrounds it. And that's sort of what I'm trying to sort of hopefully get across, that, there's always someone telling you something that they don't know about, something that they have no clue about. And when it comes to sort of being able to go into a gym, a lot of people find it really difficult just to sort of get up, get out and get motivated in the first place, let alone sort of contact somebody or get involved. But if you knew there was a place where there was longevity classes going for the elderly to keep them mobile, to keep their immune system functioning and they're stimulated by the group that surrounds them, young guys, you have the rugby teams in, you've got various sporting clubs that come in because it's functional and it's applicable when they take it to their own sport. It's something that we shouldn't sort of fear, and maybe we've got to try and get rid of that stigma of CrossFit, haven't we? You're not going to get injured. You're going to get sorted out. You're going to get healed. You're probably going to get in the shape of your life, and you're probably going to meet some really cool people that you might not have met. So it's a bit of a call to arms from me. I'm a CrossFitter, but I'm into functional fitness. I like a little surf. I like a bike ride with my daughters. I like to go running.
I mean, if you take away the name CrossFit, essentially, if you were to ask what CrossFit means to somebody, like if I was to ask you and turn the question on you, what does CrossFit mean to you? Do you know what I mean? Can you answer that?
Yeah, you're going to give me the space.
What is CrossFit?
So to me, CrossFit is, although currently on a Zoom, it's a community of people that come together with the similar goal in mind to work their entire body to improve on every attribute that physically need to get through your day. It's to keep you regular and motivated by the immediate society that's around you, but to give you that confidence that when you go out and try different sports or get involved in something else, that you've got some layers underneath you, so you're able to compete that little bit better or offer that little bit more support to somebody that's struggling to find the ability to maybe get into a gym. I think it's about making yourself the best version of yourself. That's what it means to me.
Yeah, I think you explained that pretty damn good, mate, to be fair. Better than how I did at the beginning.
I don't know. It's always difficult,
but no, it is. I mean, essentially, it's exactly everything that you've just said there. And going back to the community again, it's you're surrounding yourself with those that want to climb that hill and that mountain, that journey themselves and experience it for themselves. That's one thing I would say. There's a great link we could probably put on YouTube after this about self-mastery. And it's about not listening to somebody and somebody that said what they think happens inside, our doors. Come and experience it for yourself. And it'd be something that I guarantee you wish you tried, 5 years down the line. You'll just meet motivated people. That's all you're going to get in there. You're not going to see Rich Fronins and Matt Frasers in there. It'll be your everyday school, working mums, dads. That's all you're going to get. It's just a group model setting, basically trying to give you some personal training in a group class experience.
95% of us are not going to make it to the games, man.
No, but 95% of the gym aren't bothered about that. And they're there to just get a little bit better, get fitter. It's that investment in their health. It's their insurance policy for yourself. You know what I mean? You pay it for your car, pay it for your home. What are you doing for yourself? You get one shot at living on this random floating planet. Let's, action it.
Yeah, that. I think, obviously, having been somebody that's come in from injuries as well, I think it is important to say that actually CrossFit can heal you, because in the right environment with the right coaching and the right sort of support and the right attitude in the first place, you're going to learn a lot about your physical body in so many different ways that you would never think to challenge it. And naturally, this sense of community, they're tethered. This sense of stick-to-itness is what you need in that place. But when you do come together and you're sharing perhaps just before the WOD of the day or afterwards with the community, with some of the mates that you've made, and you get a chance to sort of lay off some of your problems, you're basically using it as a little bit of a stress reliever. The stress containers sort of... So CrossFit's a bit of a tap, isn't it? It's a bit of a tap underneath us. There's a lot of stress in this world. Exercise is so important. So's rest, so's diet, and all of those kind of things. So on that note, like what are you learning at the moment, Sam? Because I know you love to read a book. I know you love to stay absolutely on top of it. What are you reading? What's the knowledge? What's the innovation that's sort of really exciting you? Or perhaps some old, ancient, practice?
I've literally just started a new book called Essentialism. So I'm only a few pages in. But yeah, just trying, for me, there's a lot of distractions. Like, this planet that we all live on is wonderful, but it's also got a lot of external stresses that distract you easily. Like a lot of people, shiny object syndrome, people that love to go on the next 6-week fad diet or exercise. We can take that, we can scrap that. Science supports it. So many people before us on this planet have written about it, that it comes down to consistency, discipline. If you're willing to put them two together and just chip away at it, there's your results. There's what you're after. And you can put that on anything in life. Whether it's you want to get healthier, you're going to have to consistently chip away at that throughout your entire life. That's not something that you can invest in for 6 weeks, 90 days, and job done. You're fit for life. It doesn't work like that. So it's unfortunate. It's just going to be something that you have to deposit in every day for an hour, half an hour, whatever you have. Just keep chipping away. That's all you got to do.
So pay the man or woman. You mentioned my favourite thing, science. I don't know enough about it. I'm always loving to learn, and the best way to learn is about people with their own experience. How does the scientific sort of world and the data collection and the ideology that surrounds some of the issues with diet, what's your thoughts on that? How do you look at that? Obviously, naturally, men and women are so different, but how have you sort of made that applicable to your gain knowledge, and then how do you impart that in action within the programming?
So something that the coaching team, myself and Mark, and we're getting a few others put through at the minute, is something called precision nutrition. So it's a great foundation to learn about nutrition, but it is just the foundations. And they're all about creating really good habits. And again, it's the foundations. So before you even get to nutrition, something that, again, we've been able to talk about to the members within our one-to-ones and even our Slack group that I've created, is sleep, stress, circadian regulation, and how important, even mindfulness is, and just working on your NEAT as well. Relationships and the community. They all play a part in how your body's going to be able to absorb food. Whether you're in a stress state and you were to eat really good quality food, is your body going to be able to assimilate that food, as well as you being relaxed and taking 5 or 10 minutes to mindfully breathe before you consume a meal. And again, there's a lot of distractions out there, so it might be something that we need to educate and help get better at, just sort of being mindfully aware before meals, bedtime and waking. These are all going to play a big role and a part of how you manage stress, and it's going to be the difference between how your body consumes and how you feel after a good meal. Again, that's just through experience. I've done courses, I've learned from great mentors, but when you apply it to people, it's just trying to help that person where they are in that journey and understand where they are.
I mean, naturally, a lot of people, when they first think about the gym, it's probably around about March, isn't it? Because they start humming on what you've mentioned before, the material world. So they're thinking, right, I need to get myself in that fake tan, in that bikini or those board shorts. I need to be looking ripped. I need my glamour muscles all on point. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop eating or start drinking loads of protein shakes. So some ill-advised sort of things. So the sort of the dangers around sort of diets and fads. You seem to be sort of thinking that it should be more of a mindful approach to food. But what if the person in themselves, they've lent themselves too much to comfort eating, for instance, if they're suffering from sort of some format of depression? You know, what's the cues, what's the advice that we can give to some of these guys to sort of then encourage those first sort of baby steps and that better attitude and understanding to diet and exercise? Because it's so important for your mindfulness. It's all part of the same daily routine of self-care, I think.
Yeah. It's just being more aware of your current situation and not, you know, your next door neighbours or that fit person that you look up to in the gym. Being realistic with yourself. And you said it a second ago, taking baby steps, because small size, actionable steps often lead on to the next baby size, small step, whatever it is. Don't go all out, guns blazing, and change everything. Rome wasn't built in a day. And nor was it taken down in a day. You know, these things take absolutely years, and they're constantly going to be chipping away. You know, I'm a father and a husband, and I'm happy with my dad bod. I'm strong, I'm fit, I'm athletic, I'm mindfully aware of everything that's going around me. I'm constantly striving to get better so I can better my community around me and my coaches and those that look up to me. And that's all you can do. Are you prepared to put in the work? It's basically what I'm asking.
Exactly that. So seek that little bit of professional advice, and there's your value, people. That's why we have to pay for services. We have to pay for stuff. Yes, there's a lot of charities that offer something free, but really you get for what you pay in this life. If you can weigh up, let's say you go out for a family meal and it costs you maybe 80, 100 quid if you're somewhere. That could be a month's membership. We've all just had this opportunity to reboot and to rediscover what we most like. As we come out of this scenario that we've been put in, there's been lots of people that have had positive moments through this. It's not all been negative. There's been a lot of hope. And like Sam sort of pointed out, there's been an opportunity to really sort of view what you're doing yourself, maybe start some new routines, or even just think that you want to. We've all looked at our phones a lot more. We've all had more in touch with social media. We're going to talk about that in a second. But if you've been inspired, if you've been seeing sort of results, don't be put off by thinking, well, I'm so far behind, because it's a long, long game, yeah? And it's fun and it's exciting and it's good to challenge yourself and to do new things. So I really highly recommend looking at any of wherever you might be. Look at your CrossFit box. Look at it in a slightly different way, hopefully. Try not to be afraid. Try to sort of think, well, I've got to make a first step in. That's the advice that I'm taking from Sam. I did it. I went in for rehab when I went there, and I used to sit outside of the main group, and I was intimidated to join in. I was coming back from an injury. I had my own fears about perhaps making that injury worse. I was stressed out by outside factors of life, but I found that as I entered the group, I got such a warm welcome, and it was great, and I really felt warm and welcomed, as does the people that come from all over the world to sort of drop into their various boxes. So the important thing here, be brave enough to desire a better life and be a better version of yourself. And it's going to help you out. It's going to help your kids out. It's going to help your life out. It's going to help your relationships out, your work, everything. You're going to feel great. Get on it. Get some exercise under your belt. The other thing is, once you've done all that exercise and you're eating all these lovely, healthy foods and what have you, you need to have a bit of rest, Sam, don't you? What's the importance around rest? There's a lot of scientific information out there. Tell us what your thoughts are.
Getting your sleep and your basic 7 to 8 hours a day is certainly going to help set you up for the next day, the next morning, and help you with whatever workload that you have, how you feel, what mood you're in, and again, your performance, if that's something that is major for you to worry about. It's all going to come down to sleep. If you're not doing it, you're not going to recover. Simple as that. You know, we are circadian creatures. You know, we should be going to bed with the moon and up with the sun and all of that good stuff. Again, there's a lot more you can read on that.
Is there any bits that you've sort of like leaned on recently? I know, you know, I am a member. I do follow your programming. I've noticed that you've started to encourage what I would say is like a nice sort of almost meditational relaxation sort of breathing towards the end of each workout now, and that seems to be something quite new. Is there a particular reason for that?
Just through, again, practicing and spending hours with lots of people, again, through learning through mentorships. You know, if you think about how often we breathe, say 22 to 23,000 times a day, and if we're all sort of chest panting like a dog, you know, it's not really the correct way to breathe. And there's lots of different techniques out there that can help you for many different things. You know, you've got your Wim Hofs, you've got your yogis, you've got more sport-specific respiratory diaphragm breathing drills, and they all serve a purpose. Again, it's just knowing what that purpose is and the intent that, you know, you're applying to that individual to get the right results. So for us in the class environment, sometimes putting you into a stressful state. So we want to try and bring in and calm you guys back down and sort of try and put you into more of a relaxed state as such. But again, there's a lot of science behind it. It seems to work. Something I've tried and tested with those that have, say, knee, back pain. They do a squat, for example, and just a basic sort of physical assessment, and they have pain straight away. So we do 5-10 minutes of breathing. It might be crocodile breathing is a good one, legs up against the wall in a 90-degree position, and do just focus on filling up the diaphragm sort of in a 360 manner and relax. And then get them to squat after that, no pain. And it's just simple things that have such a big impact on the body. And again, does it need a why if it's worked?
So what you're saying there is it's not necessarily all about the most complicated Olympic lifting snatches, although that's really cool to do that. It's the most simplest thing of learning how to just sort of breathe. You've obviously tapped on the fact that it's
drink more water.
An observational, yeah, man, I'm having the water. I forgot to bring my glass in.
If you look at it at a slightly different lens, and in terms of how quickly you would die, you know, breathing's probably going to be one of the first things that's going to take you away. Yeah, hydration probably second, food third on the list, right? So in terms of prioritizing it, maybe we should prioritize a little bit more on breathing, be a little bit more aware on why. Ask questions. Why should I breathe like this to your yoga instructor? Do you have lungs in your belly if you're just belly breathing all the time? No, not really. What's the reason why you want me to breathe in the belly? Maybe it's more to do with the diaphragm. I don't know. You've got to ask them questions. Otherwise, we're just constantly guessing. You never know. And again, you should always be curious, like humans.
Curious is one of my favourite words. I'm into everything. So I've been messing around with different breathing techniques for a long time. Me and you are founding members of the noteworthy stream team. So we've been sort of practicing breathing techniques. I tend to do a bit of Wim Hof. I find I particularly like that. I know that you've done Wim, you've been to some of his gatherings and what have you. There's such a host of different things. And I think the key is, and it's the same as anything, CrossFit might not be for you, but exercise has to be for you. Breathing has to be for you if you want to have a good life. You drink water. I remind my kids every day. Every single day. I'm so boring. Have you had a cup of water yet? You're not allowed juice or anything until you've had it. Your brain is actually made up of, I might be wrong on this, but it's like nearly 70% water or something. If you've just slept and you've gone into that sort of dream state in your rest period, where all those nutrients flow through your spinal cord to restore your muscles ready for the next day's stresses and activities, if you don't wake up in the morning and feel thirsty and need to have a drink, then you're obviously not very in tune with your body and what you need to do. So even if you're not like that, start having a drink of water first thing and see, like make some observational notes to yourself. Keep a bit of a sort of a diary perhaps and to sort of try and record it, a bit of data and see how you feel afterwards. I think that you'll feel a little bit better. Sam's obviously talked about water, we'll talk about rest. But that's another important thing, isn't it? Sort of a trackable sort of data. What do you do to sort of help understand how the members, how your one-to-one PTs, how your other coaches, what results they're getting? Because you talk about tweaking it. Are you using anything particular, anything special? Or is there something that people could just do at home?
So, I mean, within the gym, we've gone from the whiteboard days where I physically had to type in everything. And I'm all about efficiency and moving on with technology and keeping up with it. So, we moved on to Wodify a few years ago, which is just an application that the members have a choice now to track their data, do you know what I mean? Which the coaches also have access to. So where we periodise throughout the year, this app will build basically a template or a pillar of their fitness, strength and certain numbers that we're looking for to improve. Doesn't mean that everyone has to work on it to improve, that if they're there just for showing up and happy that they've got their daily workout in, then happy days. There's apps out there. There's free apps that you can record your workouts for those that, you know, aren't part of our gym, for example. We do have an app that if you're not a member of the gym, you can still follow our program. Something that I've just created now is an online app that we use Train Heroic. But again, if you're not a part of our gym, but you'd like to follow the programming because it's periodised throughout the year for sort of general physical preparedness, then you're more than welcome to give us a shout.
Nice, man. Thanks for that, Sam. Obviously, I've touched on the whole data collecting thing and how then that becomes something that you can then observe the results for. So some people just literally, they want to mindlessly come in and be told what to do, and they're just happy because collectively the whole process of what you're offering in your gym is to the overall workout. But for instance, if you're somebody who's out there who's doing an endurance, your first event, or maybe you want to climb the 3 Peaks Challenge, or you're doing a charity run, I think like probably a sensible thing to do is to sort of work along tracking and following and really identifying. So I think the idea is that whatever you might do, be it fitness or anything, is to sort of just be a bit present with what the end result is, to set some goals or something, Sam. So on that note, what's your dreams, man? What's your goals for moving through into the future? What's the big one for you, son?
Just always self-mastery for me is, as you get older, I'd like to become more of a mentor to other coaches. I like to share information. I'm not one of them coaches that likes to learn and then keep it all to myself. There's quite a lot of them around, but it's, that's up to them. But I like to share information, whether they like to stick around and learn and experience. For me, that's what life's all about. Like I said to you before, mate, it's a little bit morbid, but I've got one shot and I'm going to take every day and action it every day. I'm going to tick it off. Coach Sam is basically paying it forward, people. And if we've all got something to share, if we've got a particular skill that could be used, let's sort of champion the chat. Hey, Sam, let's get out there and let's sort of start putting it about. Let's have a little bit more confidence about, what's made us. And then if we can talk about it and encourage and sort of inspire, then that's brilliant. Then you're doing something really great. And it's free to be a nice geezer or lady. It doesn't cost a penny. Obviously, you always tell me about stuff. Social media. I used to hate the thing. But bear in mind, I knew we were going into another lockdown, and I did start to play around with it a little bit more, but Sam gave me the great advice of, well, just try and use it a little bit more. And I queued it up in my head as, well, I'm going to help him out. Funny enough, I used it and I was using it to help Sam and what they do and what benefits that I felt that I was getting from CrossFit. And it wasn't an ego thing. And it was really good because reaching out, actually, I was able to grab back from the wider audience, and I've had lots of conversations now with people that I do know, a couple that I don't know, and people are inspired. So I think there's a sense of it's that bravery thing. And again, isn't it? It's not listening to the doubters and the naysayers and the haters. Listen to something positive. Fill yourself with a little bit of hope and then put it back out there. It really does help. I feel great, and I thank Sam for that. I thank CrossFit and the facility and all the members. This is a great opportunity to say that because if it wasn't knowing that I've got that community there for me, that I can just tip up if I've had a crappy day, the challenges of family life, or just listening to the doubt in my own mind, I go there, I tune in, I give everything, and I get everything back. I feel balanced with doing it. It's really been a great experience for me so far. Work in progress, and I ain't Rome yet, but I aim to be. I mean, diet-wise, Sam, I've got this porridge that I make up. I call it chisel porridge, but I've changed it now. Chisel porridge, because if you eat this porridge, you'll be as chiseled as me. There's a bit of ego for you. But actually now I've changed it for brain porridge. So I'm now starting to look at different foodstuffs like walnuts. They look like brains. The pecans are really similar. All the seeds and nuts, legumes, like a lot of the things that we think we don't like, I tell you what, if you actually give them a chance, you'll probably start to like them. Is there sort of any foodstuffs that you've sort of come across recently or you've heard about or you're like, oh man, I've got to give that a go? What are you into at the moment? What's your belief about food? Just a balanced, whole food, plant, mixture of both. Something that works, that I know is sustainable for me. Yeah, and just being a little bit mindful. One of the great things about Saffron Walden for me is the community aspect again, but just the support of locals. So something that I champion hugely is supporting small local businesses. So whether it be the butchers, one of the vegetable shops is gone now, which is really sad to see. But it's, the market has got good selection. But yeah, it's just a good combination of a little bit of everything, mate. You know, try and make that plate look like a rainbow as often as you can, because that is ultimately what's going to support you, and you're going to get all the good stuff, all the vitamins that you need to help fight, especially nowadays, you know, infections, which are really prevalent at the minute, obviously, but also they're just going to make you feel good. Have a couple of days of eating, you know, yellow food or McDonald's versus get some veg down you, get a little bit of meat down you. You don't have to have meat every day with 3 meals a day, but have some form of protein. Try and get some form of protein in each meal, and you'll feel wonders. Do you know what I mean? And and that's the difference right there. It's how it actually makes you feel.
Once again, observation. Try things, find out.
Like, how did that make you feel? And you've got to remember as well, like, whatever you consume, say, today, is basically fuel for the next 36 hours. It doesn't have like an instant automatic response of how you ultimately feel right now. It's probably going to be an offset of a day later in how you feel. Sometimes if you've had, you know, a couple of beers and a pizza, you know, the next day you feel dry, groggy, dehydrated, so you want to consume, you know, more fluids, hopefully the right stuff. Again, it just does it lead you on to better choices, or does it lead you on to sort of bad choices? One of my rule of thumbs at the minute is never miss twice, and again that can be applied in fitness, nutrition, sleep. Never sort of have 2 off days.
You mentioned mindset, Sam, and it's really, I think that's sort of the key with everything, isn't it? Like having either a good mindset or being aware of a poor mindset, and hopefully to challenge that to be a better mindset, so to put in better practices, and then to be able to see and observe the results in your own body, your own mindfulness.
Definitely. But I mean, it's made much easier if you're around more aware people as well, I believe. I've lived all over the country, and you see it everywhere you go. You see the same sort of little groups of people that fall into, you know, those that are always got something to say, those that are always negative, those that are positive, go-doers. And I would say, surround yourself with as many sort of glowing go-doers as you physically can, and question those who are around you that are always negative.
I think we're talking about like sort of some key areas in which to live by, aren't we? You've got the diet, the hydration, the rest, the exercise, the mindful practice, you know, some meditation, you know, it could be breathing exercises. And now we're talking about peer groups. So surrounding yourself with positive people. I'm not saying that if there's negative people or they're going through some format of crisis or whatever, just completely avoid them, because that's the worst thing you can do, because those people really need positivity around them. But I think to try and sort of maybe, if you think something's not working out, if it's not making you feel good, really sort of like be present enough to have a look at that situation and try and think, right, actually, I need to make some changes. I need to improve my mindset, and these people are just holding me back. So getting involved with some better people that you're going to learn some more interesting things off. Sammy, I want to throw a little curveball question to you.
There we go.
So I want you to just pick one of the topics, and we've sort of covered some of these things in a way. You can roll with it exactly as you want. Free to say exactly what you want. So, sex, drugs or rock and roll, man? What's it to you?
Well, you're asking me to pick one.
Pick one and roll with it.
Drugs.
Go on.
Let's
then,
go
man.
with drugs.
Let's hit the drugs from Big Coach Sam. What do you think about drugs?
Stay away from them. Simple as. There you go.
Well, there's a key for that, but some people have to take drugs, life-saving drugs, or perhaps to keep themselves feeling in the right state. But you just think disqualify them from your day.
Again, I'm not an expert, and that's something that needs to come from the GP. But if you're asking me, you know, have you tried working on maybe sleep behaviours, you know, nutrition behaviours? Have you seen certain professionals rather than just go to your GP? Maybe before you go and try one, I think you go to the GP wanting to be prescribed something. I mean, some people say it for sleep. If we're talking about a sleep drug, you know, maybe there's professionals out there that can help you just to make sure that you don't struggle with sleep apnea, or, you know, silly as it sounds, you might be someone that snores. You know, it could be something that you might need help with. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to resolve and go down the drug route. Do you know what I mean? There's other avenues, other pathways that you could sort of go down maybe. And the same with, you know, there's no magic pill to get fit or healthy or nutrition if you're talking, you know, if we're keeping around that topic. But obviously treatments for other things, obviously, you know, I know nothing about, and that's the experts that get paid to do what they do and do a very good job of it. That's them.
I thought that would be an interesting one too. I've chatted to some lead guitarists. I've chatted to some different people. So their interpretation of the question is always different. And I wondered if you'd pick up on like drugs within the gym, steroids and what have you. There's so many different types of drugs. It's not all about just getting off your head and having a bloody good night at a festival. Let's face it, caffeine's a drug. I'm drugged out my eyeballs from about sort of 5:30, 6 in the morning, and so I hit the first shot. I love it. I'm aware that it's something I've got to control. But yeah, so obviously Sam's saying, get some proper advice again. If you're going to start taking drugs, do your research, man. Like, have a little think up. Don't just start doing these things or thinking that there's only one route for you and that's whatever there's a prescription at the end of a 10-minute conversation about. Perhaps go and have a pre-recovery moment and try some exercise, try some mindfulness, try some better diet, try a better peer group, try looking after your stresses in life and see if that can help you sleep better at night. Sam, I want to just give a bit of a call to arms. I think I'm such a massive fan of Bear Walden Fitness. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably guessed that. And naturally, I'm happy to share my barbell with more people when we reopen. So can you give a little shout out and tell people who are interested to see exactly where to find you or maybe to hook up with you, get some of this advice, potentially come in, do a foundation, try and join up? Because I think there's a lot of people that are going to be coming off the back of this closure of COVID, looking for the right source of education within their fitness. Can you give us some places to find you, mate?
Yeah. You've got Google, just type in Bear Walden Fitness. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Any social media platform, you'll find us. You'll probably know somebody. If you're a parent and you're at the school, there's probably going to be several handful of different parents along the way. Ask them for yourself. But more importantly, reach out for yourself and remember this journey is all about you. And that's what we're in it for, is helping you work on you.
Thanks, Sam. I think that's a good way of summing it up. And the same sentiments from this podcast. It's about trying to learn something new, trying to have a good conversation with somebody who's got some real knowledge. I think we've demystified the stigma that surrounds CrossFit. If you're still not sure, do a bit more research. Get in contact with Coach Sam. Get in contact with the members. They'll be more than happy to share their experiences with you. I'm massively grateful that we've had Sam in here today. I've learned something. I've really enjoyed talking to him. Peace.
Peace out, brother.
Love. Power to your day.
Stay safe.
The Pod Barber is a That Media and Design production with Mickey at the mic and Howie at the controls. Just search The Pod Barber on social and let's get connected.